So people ask us all the time what the next big thing is going to be. So as we start 2024, we're going to answer that question for you. We're going to talk about the brands that we think you need to know about for 2024. Ryan, start us off.
I'm going to start off with Moritz Grossman. Fantastic brand, and not just because we actually carry all three of these brands, to be honest with you, just to kind of throw it out there.
Disclosure.
But I do truly think that these brands are something that you guys should be looking out for in 2024. Moritz Grossman, small little company out of Germany. This watch right here is actually awesome. I mean, it's a world timer. It shows basically every single time zone that basically doesn't account for daylight savings.
Yeah,
Phoenix being one of them. So cool that we actually live here and actually have that on dial, which is kind of cool. But yeah, just awesome little brand out of Germany. Makes about 350 watches per year.
So last year, Grossman made something like 300 watches.
Right, yeah.
What we like about them, and I've said this publicly before, they kind of remind me of a Longa and Suna back when they were smaller.
Yes.
And more nimble. I dare say they're even more hand finished than Longa.
Oh, yeah.
Just production wise, they can do more. Particularly when you look at the back of this watch, everything is hand done. Everything is hand engraved. They go so far as to use purpled screws instead of blue and sapphires instead of rubies. And it's not because it's necessarily harder. It's not a flex that way, but just it's more visually appealing.
It is.
They want to keep that palette straight throughout. Christine Hutter, who's the founder and president, is a friend of the stores. If you want to check it out, Elizabeth did a great interview with her not too long ago. Yeah. We can go ahead and link that in the comments. But this is a small brand doing amazing things, and that's the first brand we think you need to know about. Next one, Rod.
Arnold and Son. Again, we carry this brand, but I mean, honestly, I've actually been shocked. George is actually the one that picked this up. It's gone gangbusters in the store. Like, we've actually already sold 6 of these pieces and high-end pieces as well. The one that's sitting right in front of us is actually called the Time Pyramid. Yeah. This is a fantastic watch if you don't know about it. The gear train, no joke, actually makes a pyramid. And if you guys know watchmaking, that is a very hard feat to do. You have a double power reserve on the side. This watch is incredible looking if you want to go through the history.
Well, and what's kind of cool here, a lot of times when we're picking up a brand, part and parcel with what I like, I have to like the watch first, of course.
Yeah.
But it's also the people who run the brand here in the US, what your relationship is going to be like with them. So right off the bat, I like everybody at Arnold and Son, Samir, just everybody's just been wonderful, to the point where this is the only one of these in the US. This is the brand new platinum time pyramid. They changed up a little bit. They did an venturing dial on the back. Just made what was a great watch greater. It's just a spectacular version of a watch I already liked. And what we like about Arnold and Son, and again, we did a whole video on them, so you can go and review that, but I'll just give you a quick synopsis. It is named after John Arnold, who was a contemporary of Abraham Louis Breguet. And you can even go so far as to say he might be the co-creator of the tourbillon, to the point where Louis's first, or Breguet's first tourbillon was done in a John Arnold pocket watch.
And that's the crazy thing, because my entire watch career, I actually knew that story.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the Arnold and Son part of that. I didn't know the tourbillon was actually placed into the Arnold and Son and not into a Breguet.
And I think you're not alone in that. Yeah. So we're, part of what we do here is we tell the story. Right. So you have this great historical brand that's done wonderful things over the years, but you have this modern interpretation of it. Yeah. And that's where I kind of come in and go, okay, that's all well and good, but what are you doing to fortify the history of the brand? And man, there is not a single case in the store that is more full of Nito.
Oh, yeah.
Than Arnold and Son. I don't care where you are on the watch nerd spectrum. You go to that case, you go, wow. If you know nothing about watches, your 14-year-old goes, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Last but certainly not least,
Gerald Charles.
Yeah.
You guys definitely know of this guy that actually made this. It's Gerald Genta. They just couldn't use that name. But a fantastic watch, and you guys will probably be seeing these everywhere, especially if you are a tennis fan, basically. They're going to be all over tennis guys' wrist and ladies' wrist this season. They're super lightweight, super durable. It's actually Gerald Genta's last design, which is really cool. And if you guys know anything about his designs, they're pretty iconic, being the Nautilus and the Royal Oak. Yep. I mean, the guy's kind of a legend in the industry, and if you haven't checked them out, you definitely need to.
Now, the story on Gerald Charles is kind of a fun one. Genta is an amazing watch designer.
Yes, he is.
Not a good businessman. the whole reason they can't associate the name Gerald Genta with this brand is he sold his name to Bulgari.
Yep. It's now owned by LVMH. Yep.
So he started this brand somewhere around 2000. The initial launch didn't go very well. Again, Genta's not a great businessman. So this wonderful Italian family came in, bought the brand. relaunched it in Italy. And I think that's really important.
Yep.
As fashion and watches, everything goes, the world follows the Italians.
Yep.
And we've had a couple of friends who were over in Italy, saw it, couldn't find it anywhere else, and they discovered that we had it, and we're super stoked. The design is compelling.
Yes.
It's a little bit divisive in that it's unusual being asymmetric, top to bottom. It is the footprint of a Baroque building in Italy which Genta fell in love with. And again, I also want to point out that like the Arnold and Son, it had a lot to do with who brought this watch to us.
Oh yeah.
Chuck Taylor's a great guy. He's been around a long time. We both really enjoyed the interaction with him, and it's actually funny. He didn't come here to sell us on Gerald Charles. He was trying to pitch a completely different brand. But we both fell in love with this, and so far, again, done really well with it. But these are 3 watches that you absolutely need to have on your radar. I'm gonna pitch a little bit of the Parmigiani Fleurier.
Yes, 1000%, which I'm also wearing.
We have been loud about Parmigiani for a long time, so they're probably already on. If you're watching our channel, you're far enough down the rabbit hole that you know about Parmigiani Fleurier. Guido Torini's doing a fantastic job over there. Locally here in the U.S., we love everybody. Again, same story. I just want to finish on a bit of a shout out. A good friend of Ryan and I's for years, our buddy Mike Pearson, who, if you don't know Mike, he is a force of nature within the watch industry. Yes. He was the one who introduced Bremont to the U.S., worked briefly for Tudor. His last stint, he was the U.S. brand president for Zodiac. He has left Zodiac, and he is now the U.S. brand president for
Christopher Ward.
Now, Christopher Ward is a company we frankly don't know a lot about, but we do know Mike.
Yes.
So again, Mike, congratulations. And
Congrats,
you know what? Even though we don't care, put Christopher Ward on that same list. You can't go wrong.
Absolutely.